Hello, my beautiful sisters. Welcome to another day at the Startup HERpreneurs. And today we have Lauren and Eliz. Yay! So Lauren and Eliz was actually my first coach ever, and I was her second client ever. And we connected from the get-go. I just saw her work. And before it was what is perfection, and now it's badass business babe. First off, I love the new name. I still love the old name too. But now she focused on creating your new business. She helps startup entrepreneurs. Her business is like at 80K per month. And I've literally seen her grow from nothing to everything. And it has been an honor and a pleasure. And we met, I never met her in person until we went to a Tony Robbins event. And I was like, Lauren, we freaked out. It was amazing. So I'm really honored to have her here today. And a lot of the other speakers that you've heard of and maybe coming up, such as Taylor, Natalie, Stephanie, I met them all because of Lauren and Elise's amazing strategy and her podcast and her Facebook Lives with them. So it has been an honor to really see her grow to this amazing person. So Lauren, I know your history is crazy with your story background and all that jazz. Can you give them like a little tidbit of your story so they can get to know you more?
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in an environment where I just always felt this deep calling to be my true self, but at the same time, I felt like I couldn't be, right? And I went through my whole life trying to sacrifice my need to be happy so that I could make other people happy. And I did that for quite some time. And then through the journey of just kind of making bad decisions and growing up and going back and forth in finding my true self, I ended up having this huge breakthrough where I recognized my deep true passion was to help people. And at the time I was in a corporate job. I was in television news. I wasn't exactly feeling fulfilled. And I just felt this deep desire, like, to quit my job, start a blog, and to help people by sharing my life experiences. So I ended up taking the big leap. My boyfriend and I, he's now my husband, we were dating at the time, we pulled all of our items into a storage unit and we moved in with his parents, and we said for 1 year we were going to make it work. And within that year, I was making multiple six figures. Our first year was a struggle, but by the end, business exploded. And I really was able to kind of learn from the ground up by making all of the hard decisions of how to grow a business and how to grow a community and how to grow your Facebook or your Instagram and how to have a sales call. And so flash forward to a year and a half into the business, I was attracting clients very much like you, Jocelyn, who are like, I want to grow a successful business. How do I do that? And that was the light bulb for me that it was time to close my life coaching business. And I switched into Badass Business Babe. And today we do beautiful $80,000 months, right? Not every month is that gorgeous, but we've been continuously growing, and we focus on helping women get the mindset that they need to grow their businesses, but also the proper strategy of how to navigate the online space, which can be very confusing and ever-changing for so many people.
I'm so with you on that. And I know that one of the things that really attracted me to you from the get-go was you had this thing on Teachable and all these amazing courses with these workbooks and PDFs. And I was like, how is she doing it? So I would love to talk to you about course creation in specific and really go into like, how did you create that and start that to begin with?
Sure. Yeah, of course. So I think every coach, and I imagine we have a lot of coaches who are subscribed and participating in this beautiful opportunity that you've provided them. But I think every coach in the online space either starts out with group coaching or one-on-one coaching. I started out with group, where I designed programs, and that's what Jocelyn's referring to, you know, these online courses with videos and PDFs and audio trainings. The reason I did that was because when I transformed my life, I went through an online course and I got such results. I had such transformation. I knew the power of listening to a teacher, hearing that teacher's voice, watching that teacher speak to you, and then walking through your, journal exercises and self-reflection. That was really where my life changed. So I wanted to take that and give it to other women. And at the time, I didn't even know that was a thing, right? I was like, oh, this audio program by Tony Robbins changed my life. I need to make a program, right? Like, I didn't know the personal development world was expanding into all these courses and online space work. So I just did it. And what happened for me was I started to attract women who bought these very low cost programs that were maybe $300 or $100 or $30, I started to attract women who said, I want to work with you one-on-one, right? Now, many people do it backwards, where they start one-on-one with people and they feel the deep calling and desire to build a course. And for those people, what you really have to look at is the problem that you solve. And really narrow in. When I talk about this with my clients, we go through these niche exercises where I always encourage somebody to pick that one person who you were obsessed with working with, somebody that you just fell in love with, that you adored, that you were excited to work with every day. And if you don't have clients now, maybe pick a friend that you would love to work with, right? Or an imaginary person. But with that person in mind, you really want to ask yourself, what is the specific problem that I loved solving for her? And then coming up with a game plan to reach the masses with a step-by-step program that allows somebody to solve that problem on their own in a DIY fashion with journaling and video training and audios and homework assignments, right? A course is about taking something that you've done or that you teach and systematizing it for the audience so that they can then apply those practices to their own life. And that is a strategy that takes a lot of people, time to understand and grasp, but it's really about looking at your own success and your own achievement in life and saying, okay, I got this result. How did I do that? And now how can I teach that to somebody so that they can get that result in their life as well?
That's amazing. And I know that you do teach something called the flow, which I know is like free, low, outstanding, and I believe it's wow. So what are the different kind of online courses that someone can make, and what's that transition?
So I just want to preface this by saying, if you want to attract big money in your business, you have to be showing up like a leader, and a leader provides free value before a customer even ever purchases. Right? You treat people like gold. I love, you walk into Louis Vuitton and they give you a glass of champagne and you have like a personal, salesperson helping you pick out your stuff, right? They don't know if you're going to buy, but they're treating you as if you are. And the online space, you're constantly treating people as if they're already your client. So regardless of what strategy you're using to build courses, I would just really encourage you to think outside of the actual course and say, what is the free value or the free knowledge or free personal touch that I'm going to give a potential customer even before they work with me? And part of that is the flow formula. So when I identified this, the online space was talking about lead gen all the time. And there were all these like blog articles and Pinterest clicks all around like, hey, this is how you get a lead. And a lead was a potential client. And growing your email list was so important. But the trick to actually getting a lead, whether it was what they referred to as email list subscribers, now it's, for me, it's not just that. It's anybody who listens to my podcast, anybody who's a Facebook group member in the Badass Business Babe tribe, anybody who's an Instagram follower. Those are all potential leads. What am I going to give them to bring them into my space where they're doing a couple of different things? Number one, they're getting to understand who I am with that free value. They're learning more about me. Number two, they're getting authentic connection and engagement, whether it's, me commenting on something that they like, or me having a little personal touch of a love letter to them when they sign up via email, right? What is that connection that they're establishing with me? And then most importantly, what is the education that they're getting from me? So the flow formula is a way to provide all of those things to a customer the minute that they see you in the online space, so they hook you in and they decide to stay deeply connected with you. And so the first part of that is the free offer, right? What is that free thing that someone's going to fall in love with? And backtracking from your course, it's always effective to work backwards to say, okay, let's say I have this course that I want to design for my soulmate client who is struggling with health and wellness. And maybe the course I come up with is 6 weeks to, 6 inches, right? Lose 6 inches off your belly in 6 weeks. I don't know. Let's just say that's what I come up with. And maybe I look at the flow formula and say, okay, well, what free value can I give to somebody that would eventually buy that? Maybe it's a cheat sheet on 5 things to do to get your metabolism running. Maybe it's a healthy recipe that they can then apply to their lives. But there has to be something, right? There's a free value that they're going to get a taste of me and my authenticity and my vulnerability as their leader and as their coach, as their guide. And they're also going to get an opportunity to engage with me in some way, shape, or form, to trust me, right? Because no one's going to buy from you if they feel like they can't trust you. And then finally, they're going to get an educational element, something that will give them knowledge and experience on how to apply some of your principles and teachings to their life so that they fall in love with you. And then they go through that flow formula where maybe they get that free offer and then they buy something at low cost from you. But then maybe after they buy a more bigger investment, right? The outstanding offer. And then maybe by the end, they hire you one-on-one, and that's such a big investment, right? But the flow formula methodology is about that step-by-step process of the customer's journey.
That's amazing. So when it comes to that free thing, you're saying to create some kind of checklist or PDF or even like a library of tons of free stuff that you offer. And then from there, you give them kind of what I call a tripwire or a low offer price. So that's between what price range?
It doesn't really matter. I think what matters most is identifying the ideal client, right? Some people's low offers, because they work with luxury clients, people who have bigger wallets and bigger investments in their abilities, right? And maybe a low offer is a couple $100. For me, our low offers are on the website anywhere from $7 to $24, right? We keep things lower because we understand that our ideal client maybe is on a budget. She's growing a badass business and she doesn't really know where to start, right? So the answer to that question depends.
Okay. So we have this free checklist, PDF, or even a library of tons of free stuff that you created to this low offer that depends on the price range. And it's kind of like, is it like a mini course, or how do you know if it's like a low, or how do you know when you create a course if it's LOW?
So the value of your course is going to be dictated by how much exposure the customer gets to you. That is really the simple answer to that question. The more time I spend with a client, the more of an investment they have made to allow that to happen. Proximity is power. And so in your business, it's always so important to remember that the proximity of how close that client can actually get to you directly dictates the value. So for example, when somebody buys a $7 or $24 product from us, they're only getting an hour's worth of recorded content, maybe 2, depending on the course. If that person spends $100 or $300, they're getting a program that has hours of content and PDFs and trainings, and there's way more value within that course because they're getting to experience me on a deeper level. When somebody invests thousands, they get live group coaching calls, right? Where they're being given the opportunity to actually connect with me on a personal live level. And when someone works with me one-on-one, that's all they do, right? So the free, the low, the outstanding, the wow, all of that is dictated by how much time, how much content, how much connection they get to have to the influencer who is designing that content.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. So perfect. So thank you for that.
You're
so
welcome.
With the flow, do they start with creating that free thing, or do they start creating the wow and then moving backwards?
You always want to move backwards. The foundation of your business needs to be created by understanding where you're going, not where you're starting, right? And so if I design, let's just say I'm showing up and I'm like, oh, I'm really excited to do 5 steps to self-love, a PDF guide. That's just what I'm going to create. But would my ideal client who's buying a group coaching program related to a very specific fitness result, would she be more connected to a 5 steps to self-love PDF, or would she really enjoy a clean foods checklist that she could then go through her closet or her cabinet or fridge to clean out the stuff that isn't healthy for her? It's all about result. But the result of the free offer, the low offer, the outstanding offer are always dictated by the ultimate outcome you're trying to provide somebody. So I always encourage clients to work backwards from the highest ticket item because it will create a very clear through line on the customer's journey, and you'll be less likely to run into clients breaking off or, disconnecting and not maybe investing after their free offer.
Okay. So an idea for like a wow would be a one-on-one coaching program, right?
Sure. Yeah, sure. And even if you don't have a one-on-one offers, a wow could be a high ticket mastermind. It could be a large investment group coaching program as well, right? you really want to pay attention to where your limitation is, right? Like, I don't want anybody to listen to this and say, oh, Lauren says I need to do one-on-one coaching and I don't want to do one-on-one coaching. No, your wow offer can be a group mastermind, even a live event, right? It can be anything. These can also be tiers of network marketing packages, right? These can also be levels of products. It really doesn't matter what it is.
Okay, perfect. So when it comes to the system, I know that you use Teachable, and I know there's Kajabi, and I'm trying to think of something else. ClickFunnels is another one. What's the difference? Is there anything that you specifically recommend when starting off as a startup herpreneur?
Yeah, so when you're starting out, I think I always encourage people to look beyond the limitation. So if you're feeling like you're in a position where you get very overwhelmed with tech and you're like, Lauren, the thought of building a website stresses me out, then you really want to go down the route of investing in a third-party platform that will allow you a drag and drop experience that's really easy to use. In the beginning for our business, we use Teachable. Right now we're in a migration and a rebrand where we're actually transitioning over to Kajabi. Yeah. Neither one of those platforms is good or bad. There's also things like ClickFunnels, right? Mm-hmm. I think you have to go with what feels most connected to you. What I love about Kajabi is the fact that everything is in one place. And as we've grown our business now to having a platform that has, thousands of transactions a month, it's really, really important for us that we have everything in one place so that our pieces of the puzzle, like our email list and our financial transactions and our opt-ins, that it's all in one place to build. So Kajabi was very appealing for us. And I'll also say that the answer to that question depends on the year that somebody is asking that question, right? 3 years ago, I would not have recommended Kajabi because they weren't what they are now, which is why we went with Teachable when we started our business. Use your intuition to pick the platform that feels most aligned to you, but also remembering you can do something as simple as running a group coaching program with a Facebook group and a PayPal link, right? Like you don't need the fancy bells and whistles and you don't need the complicated systems. You can start with something really basic and easy to follow.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So I'm guessing if someone was listening to this right now, my next question would probably be something like, okay, so what do I put in the course? Right? So I know that you mentioned things like PDFs, lives, or even doing Facebook or like a Zoom call with those people. Can you explain more in detail on those or anything else that I'm missing?
Of course, yeah. So I would remind everybody listening that everybody learns differently. So some of us are really great audio learners where we love listening to things like podcasts, or maybe we play a Facebook Live in the background while we're getting the dinner ready in the kitchen, right? We are auditory learners and we hear and we consume content. When I was in school, that was not a good way for me to learn. I actually was a handwritten learner. I was a kinesthetic learner, meaning I learned through action and feeling. I learned through experience. So when a teacher talked, if I just sat there and tried to listen, I would not learn. I needed to write things out in a journal. I was a kinesthetic learner, right? So it's important to remember that as you grow your brand and as you grow your content, and as you grow what you provide, in order to reach the masses, you want to do a good job of serving every type of learner. And so when we designed Badass Business Babe, we really made it a point that every program met the needs of every type of student. So we had PDF guides for journaling reflections to apply, the lesson of the week. We had audios that students could download and listen to on the go, or listen to more than once if they had to. We had video trainings where if students really enjoyed watching the face-to-face energy of the emotional reaction that I created in either a training or a seminar, that they had the opportunity to consume that. You don't have to do things that way, right? We also, it's important to remember that we as teachers have a style of teaching that we love more than the other styles, right? I love to talk. I also find my voice to be far more compelling and powerful when I'm not on video and I'm just focused on channeling that clear message, right? So wherever you show up the strongest, that's how you should first deliver, right? My very first programs were really audio heavy because I could shut down a video and lose myself in a very clear message in audio. Some students, they write, right? And those students go on to design courses that are heavy in the written word, And that's really powerful too. But make sure that your strong suit is what you show up to run with, right? Identify what that is. Do you love video? Do you love writing? Do you love audio? Have that be the foundation of your course. Your course should always solve a problem. So remember, it's always about giving somebody a result and giving an ultimate outcome. And if you don't know what that ultimate outcome is, you can go through programs or exercises that walk you through that. I have a course on badassbusinessbabe.com specifically for how to design courses. There's a step-by-step process to figuring that out. But ultimately, the components of your course have audio, video, PDF guides, but you need to decide what that layout and structure is. So for our courses, we go with once a week content for a certain amount of weeks. And the course is either 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and every week is a topic, and every week is focused on something specific related to the ultimate outcome that they're getting. And within that week, there's video, there's audio, there's PDF guides that walk them through that process. Now, when you do a live group coaching program with me, either Six Figure Biz Babe or the coaching mentorship, there's an additional element to that course. It's not just the trainings. It's not just the week-by-week content. It's also weekly group coaching calls where I come on and work with the students in a live fashion, right? And that looks different depending on what the group program is and what the investment of the group coaching program is. But the live element tends to be the most powerful for customers. People are obsessed with the ability to connect with somebody live. In the online space where we feel very lonely, that connection and one-on-one support is super powerful. So group coaching programs in the beginning, that's an emphasis. How many group coaching calls are you doing? If it's a 6-week program, you should do a group coaching call once a week. And then adding that to the course content that you provide is very effective as well.
Got it. And so for that Facebook Live or that one thing that you do, like the live coaching, you're there in person and they're on like on a Zoom call, for example, and they're just answering questions, or do you have like a PowerPoint set up for them for that week?
That's a good question. So my group coaching programs are all different. Six Figure Biz Babe, for example, is a combination of both of those things. So in Six Figure Biz Babe, I jump on live, I say hi, I talk about what we're going to learn that week. Then I play a recording that has me talking with some slides where students can take notes. And then after that recorded slide and content, I come back on and do some Q&As and interventions. Those are some styles of the Six Figure Biz Babe calls, but then there's also free flow calls, which I have, I believe 2 or 3 of the calls are free flow, where there is no PDF, there is no PowerPoint. It's me showing up in an open forum with Q&A, intervention, and opportunity to watch women transition and have live breakthroughs through the course. So you can do it whichever, as an entrepreneur, do whatever feels most aligned to you. If the thought of working with people one-on-one scares you, bring some slides, have some PowerPoints. When you feel the most safe, you will expand the fastest.
So say that again. That was an amazing quote.
When you, I don't even know what I said. Sometimes I channel like, yeah, when you feel the most, when you feel safe, you will, where you feel safe, you will expand the most. Yeah, sometimes when I'm talking, I'm just channeling and I'm not even aware of like what I'm saying. And I'm like, wait, what? That was good. I don't know what I said. So thank you for calling that out.
So I'm trying to think of any other questions that someone may have. And I think another question that someone may have would be something similar to like, so I want to create a course, but where do I start? So I know that there's, I'm guessing my thought process would be something like, where are they and where do you want to take them at the end of the course?
Well, my answer to that question depends on where somebody is, right? Where does somebody start? Where are they and where do they want to go, right? So like, what is your ultimate outcome? Do you want to launch your very first course? Do you want to get 5 students? Do you want to get 3 students? Do you want to, you have to make a decision on where you're going, right? So that's the first step is like, what do you want to work towards? What's your ultimate outcome? And then once you know that, what are your steps? Well, step 1, you have to design that course. You have to map it out. You have to come up with a strategy of week by week content. You have to decide where on your calendar you're going to launch that. Then you have to have a launch strategy for filling that course. When are you going to open the cart? When are you going to promote that program, right? Like we now at Badass Business Babe have a very specific launch program and launch strategy that we follow every time we open the cart for a program. We've created a very intentional process around filling our courses. So that's the first thing, right? Identify where you want to go, what your ultimate goal is. Is it a group course or a DIY course? And then decide, knowing that, what is the outline of this course going to be, then creating it, and then coming up with a launch strategy to get people to come into that course.
Okay, so now what I'm hearing is there's a launch program to whatever course you create. So I'm thinking something like, okay, so I created this course, or should they create the course before they promote it? Or do they create the course and then they start promoting it? What would you recommend?
So here's what I tell you. You sound like a lot of my clients where they come in and they go, tell me what I should do. There's no right or wrong way to do stuff, right? There is an intuitive process for every entrepreneur where you may be really fucking excited to design a course. That's where you should start. Maybe for you, you're really excited to build community. That's where you should start, right? This first step of like building your brand or building your tribe or building your brand or your course is all about what feels most connected to you, right? And I think when we show up in the online space looking for that like cookie cutter, do step 1, step 2, step 3, we miss the mark on following our intuition. And that's like the most important part of the journey of being an entrepreneur. Now, a launch process, you referred to it as a launch program. A launch process is the step-by-step of opening your cart and closing your cart. And what is the game plan to bring potential clients into this program? How am I going to sell this, right? And that strategy looks different for everybody. For some people, a launch strategy is, I'm going to have my enrollment open for 3 weeks, and every day I'm going to message 5 people to see who would be a good fit. For some people, it's a 5-day challenge. I'm going to do a 5-day challenge and let people know what I have to offer. And in that challenge, I'm going to fill the cart. There's no wrong way. It's about what feels best to you.
All right, perfect. So let's say someone creates this course and you're like, yes, it's going to sell so much, and they're super excited about it. And then no one signs up. So why would that happen, and how can they avoid that happening?
You can't, first of all. So congratulations, you are now an entrepreneur, right? I can't tell you, like, it's so funny. I look back, my very first program was called the Perfection Program. And I think the first run I got like 5 people. And I felt like I was wealthy as fuck. Like I was like, oh my God, 5 people bought this $30 program. That's amazing. Like I saw the transactions and I felt like I won the lottery. Like I'll never forget that feeling. And it was such a small thing, right? 5 people, $30. But like, some people will launch a first program and nobody buys it. Some people will launch a first program and 2 people buy it. Your job as an entrepreneur is to never look at that and say, oh, this is a reason to give up, or this is a reason this isn't working. Your job as an entrepreneur actually is to look at everything that quote unquote fails and say, okay, what went wrong here? Let me diagnose this, right? Let me identify what happened. So at every stage of your business, you should be doing that, regardless of how many years in business you are, how big your launches are. 6-Figure Biz Babe, which is now our signature program. We run it 3 times a year. The first time we ran that, we had 15 students. Now we get 120 in one launch, right? So what did we have to do to get there? Well, we needed to, number 1, be comfortable with failure. We needed to identify that, hey, the first time we do this, the second time we do this, the third time we do this, it's just going to keep getting better and better. And we had to be in a space of evaluation versus being judgmental. So, and I say we because I'm really referring to like me and my higher self, because when I was growing a business in the beginning, it was like just me. And now we as a team, right? Like now I have a beautiful team that helps us run this beautiful company. So like first step, if you didn't fill a program, you need to identify why. Go back to the people who you reached out to who said no and ask them what stopped them from investing. Maybe it was the price. And when people say it's the price, it's not the price. When somebody tells you, I didn't invest in so-and-so because I didn't have the money, they didn't feel like it was a priority to invest. So the question is not, do I have to change the price? The question is, why didn't they see the value in this? Right? It's never about the money. When someone says they don't invest because of money, what they're really saying is, I didn't see the value in this, right? Because we get leverage to create our musts, right? Anything that's a must, we figure it out. So why wasn't there a driving force for that person to invest? And that requires a critical eye on your business and on your action. Maybe what you'd be surprised to find out happens most of the time. Maybe people didn't even know the program existed, right? You maybe have a big following and you only talked about it once or twice, but you felt like you were nagging people. You'd be surprised how many people go back and ask their audience to find out, what? I didn't even know that course existed. Side note here, like my personal brand is so clear now. I have about 26,000 Instagram followers. I still get messages from people saying, what is it that you do? How can I work with you? And I blast it on social media all the time. So just remember, like, there are reasons why things don't work, and it's your job to find those reasons so that you can correct them and do things differently the next time. And in every level of your business, you should be doing that.
I just want to mention that I'm having a yes moment in my head. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
I'm glad. This wasn't staged.
So I'm thinking, you were mentioning about excuses and how it's never really about the money. And like my head's for going like ding, 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 ding. Because so many people are like, okay, I have to lower the price. And that's their first thought process.
Yeah. It's
what kind of excuses do you hear and how do we handle them?
Well, I don't hear excuses anymore, which is really funny because in the beginning of my business, I heard them all the time. But what that actually was a mirror for me, because deep down, I wasn't feeling really worthy of the investment that I was asking people to make, right? I loved the idea of receiving $1,000, but did I really believe that my stuff and what I had to offer was worth $1,000? No, I didn't. Now I can get behind $20,000 and $30,000 worth of value because I am so confident in what I have to deliver. So when somebody resists saying yes, oftentimes that's a mirror for you and how you're actually feeling around what you're putting out there. So I always encourage clients to look deeper into their self and say, hey, nobody bought this program. Would you buy it? Right? Nobody felt like you were deserving enough to be a leader. Do you believe you're a leader? Nobody decided that it was worth their time to stick around for these group coaching calls. Did you believe that it was worth their time? Right? So like, where are you showing up to be that? And if you feel those resistance elements at any point, it's your job to ask, okay, what can I do to fix this? Because it's all fixable and there's nothing wrong with you. It's just the journey of stepping into your worth. There's this quote that Tony talks about and a couple of other leaders mentioned, business is a spiritual game. And it's so true because along every step of my journey, as I put new content out there, as I run new courses, as I deepen my brand and elevate my identity in the online space, I am always challenged to overcome a fear of not being good enough, of not getting it right, of failing, of disappointing people, right? All of that is why people don't buy. That's it. And then the other element, if you want to talk strategic, people don't buy because the problem that you solve tends to not be clear, right? If we look at the coaching mentorship or six-figure biz babe, those are pretty boring titles of programs, right? But they're very specific in knowing what you're going to get. The coaching mentorship, you're going to get coaching mentorship, right? I'm going to teach you how to be a coach and how to make money as a coach. Six-figure biz babe, guess what I'm teaching you? How to make six figures, right? Like I'm very clear on the ultimate outcome, and a lot of coaches out there will spend months coming up with the perfect title of like poverty to profit or aligned entrepreneurship or step into your flow. Hold on, what are you, what, right? Or love yourself, right? For a weight loss program. No, like get really specific and clear. And sometimes that's not super sexy, but you need to be able to properly market that to people. And that's really strategically where people, coaches, and any entrepreneur misses the mark. It's like they're not really properly marketing themselves. And you need to know how to do that in the online space. It's so important.
So for the title, be specific. And then are you going for like where they are and where they're going is the focus on the title? And is it more of like a feeling, right? 'Cause I know it's important to focus on the benefits versus the features that you can give them.
Yeah. So oftentimes entrepreneurs market the how, which is not the right way to market your stuff. In other words, I help people lose weight with Ayurvedic practices and essential oils, or I help people tap into their spirituality by teaching them to love themselves, right? The how doesn't really matter, right? Oftentimes when a potential client comes to me, they don't care how it happens. They just want the result. So it's really important that your marketing really speaks to that, but also the emotional component is really important as well. So when we talk about correct copy editing and correct verbiage to use on a sales page, it's not just about the result, it's about the emotion as well, because people buy with emotion. So when we talk about, you know, if you look at the copy of Six Figure Biz Babe or the coaching mentorship, there are sentences on that sales page that speak to the emotional pain points that someone is going through who would be a great fit for that program. So we say, like, are you struggling to figure out a way to grow your business? Are you spinning your wheels, throwing spaghetti on the wall, trying to see what sticks? Do you feel like you're never going to be successful, right? Then come to these programs and let me teach you all the things, right? There's an you see the sentences there? Like, there's an emotional pull with those conversations. It's not just, I'm going to teach you how to make money, boom, right? Like the person on the other end reading that is going to go, oh my God, I feel like that right now. And we buy with emotion. So expressing that in your copy, expressing that in your narrative. And when you create content online, it's important to remember your content is not just about teaching people. It's also about vulnerability with your own story. So make sure that comes up, right? Make sure you're speaking to, you know, I remember where I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor, right? Now our business last year, we did $500,000, right? I came from nothing. I grew it from the ground up, but I'm always talking about that because that story is where people see the hope. So regardless of what you teach and what you're coaching on, you need to share your journey of where I was and where I went, because that's what people read and people feel inspired by.
Beautiful. So you've given us some amazing content on how to create a course and how to really move forward with the titles, with the launch process, with the actual creation of the course, with how to handle the sales questions. So I think we handled like everything plus.
We covered all the things tonight. This is really cool.
So I want to say thank you so much for that. And I have 2 more questions for you before we really end our session here today. And the first one is, what is one action step our beautiful ladies that are watching can really take to build an online course and move forward in their business?
Okay, so what's the one action they can take to build their online course is a different answer than what is one action they can take to move forward in their business. So I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to answer both. Okay. So what is one action that you can take to build an online course? Map it out, right? A great exercise I do often whenever I'm trying to design something is I get some colorful, pretty permanent markers and a piece of cardstock, and I write down my weeks, week 1, week 2, week 3, and I just map it out like it's the chapter titles of a book. What am I teaching in each and every week? And I first ask, what's the ultimate outcome, right? And then mapping out the weeks. So do that first. Step number 1. And for somebody who's just trying to grow and evolve their business, a great action step to take is to track where you are and decide where you want to go. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't do this because we're in this place of like trying and hoping to be successful and, you know, throwing spaghetti on the wall like I talked about, right? So tracking is really this element of like really evaluating where you are. What's your email list right now? How many Instagram followers do you have? Where exactly is your business? Capture that in a journal entry and then do your best every couple of months to go back and answer those questions again. Because oftentimes in business, we feel like it's never enough. We're in this rat race of like trying to get to the next level all the time. And that feeling of trying to get to the next level all the time, regardless of how quote unquote successful you are, can make you feel like a failure, right? You can always feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm not where I want to be. I should be at X, Y, and Z. But when you track, it is so easy to change that state. And that state is what you need to manage as an entrepreneur. Because that state is make or break, right? If you are feeling like you're having a shitty day and your business sucks and you have no idea where to start, you're overwhelmed, you don't know where to go, that emotion can completely halt you. because this is entrepreneur land where there is no boss, right? So you can lose yourself in 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years of just not taking action because of that state. So by managing and tracking where you're going and where you've been, you can look back on that and go, oh my God, look how far I've come, right? There are days where I'm like, I feel like our Instagram isn't growing. I feel like my Facebook group isn't growing. I feel like I'm not making the income I want. And then I just look at my records, right? I go back and I sit with the numbers. 3 months ago, our Facebook group was at, I don't know, I'm making this up. It was at 5,000, 4,000 people. Now it's at 15,000. What do you mean? I don't feel like I'm growing. That's crazy. I'm growing so fast. So sometimes just being able to capture that will allow you to change your state really quick. And it'll actually have you feeling like a businesswoman because you'll know where you want to go. Right? Setting intentions for that growth is really important.
I know something that helped me a lot throughout that action step process is like not comparing myself to other people in this area. You're like, yeah. Because I was like, great, I'm at 5K in my Facebook group and then at 10K now when we both started at the same time, like what's happening? And then when I let that go is when I started seeing the attraction coming in. It's like the attraction that I was giving out was similar to what I was feeling inside. So if it was very interesting to see that process of stop comparing yourself, and that's where the money and the time and everything else comes along.
One thing I encourage new entrepreneurs to do, because this was actually, I think at the time I was making like 10 or 15,000 a month on average. And my comparisonitis was so strong. I would spend months scrolling my Instagram, scrolling Facebook feed, looking at everybody else's stuff and feeling like my stuff wasn't good enough or like I wasn't where I was supposed to be. So I always encourage entrepreneurs to go on what's called a scroll detox. And what you do is you commit to 30 days of not looking at your Instagram feed and not looking at your Facebook feed. And your job is just to learn how to create content and get out. Go in, create content, get out, right? Because your energy as an entrepreneur, and we've talked about this, it just needs to be as strong as you can make it because you're leading people. You can't hold space for thousands of people if you're insecure and overwhelmed and you're doubting yourself. So 30-day scroll detox, I write down my negotiables, which are people who I allow myself to look at because they inspire me and make me feel really good, right? So I'll put those people on a list, and my rule is I'm allowed to look at those people because they are my teachers and my mentors and my guides for right now in my life, but everything else is off the table. And it is so cleansing, and it's so surprising, Jocelyn, how many times you will go to look at the time on your phone and in a second, you're like, holy shit, how did I get into the Instagram app? I'm scrolling. When did I do that, right? Like, because it's habit, right? We go in, we look, and we're consuming all of that stuff, and our emotional state is being affected. So scroll detox 30 days will change your life.
All right, perfect, done. And I know that you have an amazing free gift that you're going to offer everybody. So I want to give you a moment to really talk about it and what's a part of it so everybody can like be like, yes, and clicking it.
Yeah. So I love this because one of the biggest things that we've focused on this year for Badass Business Babe is community, because we can identify how lonely entrepreneurs feel and how scary it can be to go on that journey by yourself, right? So the first thing I'd like to tell everybody to do is join the Badass Business Babe Facebook group. It is a private, safe space. Women are in there asking questions all the time, supporting each other, celebrating with each other, getting help from one another. It's a beautiful place to share your gifts and to get the support that you need. So you can go to badassbusinessbabe.com/Facebook to do that, or you can search the tribe in Facebook search engine. It's a really beautiful place to be. And then also, if anybody goes to badassbusinessbabe.com, there is a free tools section there for you. So you can go ahead and put your email in there, and it'll give you tons of free trainings and tips and services that you didn't know were currently available. So that's right on the homepage of badassbusinessbabe.com.
Yes. All right. Perfect. So Lauren, it has been an honor and a pleasure to really get to talk to you and like pick your brain and everything you could possibly think about for course creation and really building your badass online business for themselves. So thank you. It has been amazing. And really thank you for helping me get those extra speakers and always being here, a part of my life for the last like 2+ years.
Of course, it's been an honor. Thank you for having me, honey.
And ladies, I shall see you tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.